Hello, this is Revert Audio. Sorry about the shaky video, I don't have my regular camera with me. So Ariel has asked a really excellent question. Do you have a logic or physics explanation why this is so? If two speakers are playing at, let's say, 105 dB peak SPL, why one of them is more compressed than the other? And this was about the efficiency video. And also as a follow-up to my video on the focal and voice of the theater comparison, how come there is a compression, the dynamic compression with the lower efficiency loudspeakers? Where does that come from? And I'm going to draw for that. So basically, when you have efficiency rating for a speaker, it means that, like, let's say if it's like 82 dB per watt meter, is I think it was out of focus. So if that's the efficiency rating of a loudspeaker, it means that the difference between the quietest sound, which is at 0 dB, that it can make, and the loudest sound that it can make with the given input is 82 dB. So that's the range it can work with. If you have a loudspeaker that has 102 dB per watt meter efficiency, it means that the softest sound is still 0 dB, but the loudest sound is 102 dB that it can reproduce. So basically, driving with the same signal, you get 20 dB greater dynamic shading, dynamic resolution. So that happens at the side of the driver. So basically, when a driver is more efficient, it means that it can transmit energy more efficiently to air. And the consequence of this energy transmission efficiency is that it can transmit a wider range of signal amplitude. So basically, has a much wider dynamic bandwidth. And now the exact question was that if that seems to be all right, but when I play a lower efficiency, much louder volume, let's say like instead, so with 1 watt we will get 102 dB SPL, and with 100 watt in this case we will get also 102 dB SPL. So sorry, I'm not using the 105 dB. Instead of, I'm using the 102 and 82 because it's easier to calculate with these numbers. And in these two cases, then all right, you say that there's nothing changed because you just need to throw 100 times more power at it, right? And it's at the same volume. Now here comes the limitation of the source material. So basically, the music that is recorded has a given amount of dynamic shading in it. Just as it has a given amount of frequency information, it also has a given amount of dynamic shading. So if you want to compare it to light, then the frequency information, it's like the resolution, so you can see that it's a cat, and the dynamic resolution is basically the color depth. So when you have an ultra efficient loudspeaker capable of a lot of dynamic reproduction, it means that you can see colors. And if it's low efficiency, it means you can see fewer colors. And now, if a loudspeaker can resolve the frequency content higher, then you will have, it's almost as if like having a higher resolution, higher pixel count. And you see the two are not analogous, they are different processes, and you get best result when you have optimal dynamic shading and optimal resolution as well. That was just a segue. I'm just using the cats, so I'm making them work if as they are overtaking here this video. So basically, why I used Kintaro as an example is because the source material that's recorded on your hard drive or on your vinyl, it has a given amount of dynamic detail. So let's say that for this music, what we need like a 1-volt source. This is just an arbitrary number. It does not have any much relevance to real life, except that we are just using it as a reference for our little example. So if I have 1-volt input, then that will create this 102 dB sound pressure, and that's the, let's say that's the peak. Let's say that my peak sound pressure in my music is 102 dB, and that is caused by sending a 1-volt signal from my recording. So that's the peak of the resolution. And now, what is the minimum of the resolution? It depends on your music. So with some music material, you have maybe like 60 dB resolution, and then you would get, that would be 1 millivolt signal level. Then basically there's 1,000-fold difference between signals if the dynamic resolution is 60 dB. Now, if it's 120 dB, then here this is 1 microvolt. So anyway, this is different with each music, each record, each album you play. So in our example, let's call this as min. And yeah, so what the signal will contain is it will go from min to 1 volt, and when it hits your loudspeakers and it converts to sound pressure, let's say this will give us a dynamic range between 102 dB for one. She's kicking my hand away, and she almost overturned my mug. You know what? Let me just draw it here. I have more space. She took over the button. Okay, so here we go again. Second track. So basically, from 1 volt, okay, we get 102 dB, and from min, we call it min, we get, let's say, 22 dB. Okay, so that's the lowest that's recorded on the music. And when we are using this 102 dB loudspeaker, this is what we are getting. And now let's have a look at the case of an 82 dB loudspeaker. So this was the 102, okay? And in this case, we got an 82 dB actual dynamic range. And that's because the music limited or range to lower than what the speaker can reproduce. Now let's have a look at what an 82 dB per wattmeter loudspeaker can do. So for that case, we need to take an amplification strategy with the same gain as we had here, because what we need to do here is basically to reach the same amount of SPL, we need 100 times greater power. So it means we need to amplify this input signal 100 times more in power, which means 10 times greater in voltage. So I try Kintaro, please, thank you. So then we will need 10 times 1 volt to reach that maximum, which is 102, and also because we had that 10 times voltage amplification, the min value will also go up 10 times. So there is no dynamic expansion when we turn the volume knob up. So when we turn the volume knob up, we have to turn it so much higher that the 82 plays at 102 dB level, right? So basically we need to throw, instead of 1 watt, we need to throw 100 watts to drive it. And because of that, we need to amplify the signal that's coming from your music 10 times in the voltage domain. So it means that what is the loudest point will be 10 times louder, but min, what was the quietest, that will be also 10 times louder. So that means that instead of 22 dB, now you have to add 20 dB to that. So the lowest min will be 42 dB. And as you see, the difference between that, oh, sorry guys, I'm not sure if I can count here with this cats around. So that's not 82, that's correction. 102 minus 22 is 80 dB. And here 102 minus 42, that's 60 dB. So what you have here for that 82 dB efficient loudspeaker, because you had to crank up the volume 10 times higher in the voltage domain, you are bringing up the lowest signals 10 times, not just the loudest, the lowest as well. So it means that your lowest signal will be 20 dB louder and your range has been compressed by 20 dB. I hope this helped to explain it, and thank you for the cats to show help with this video. Have an amazing day. Bye bye.